Hi, I'm Joey Bachrach, and I'm an alcoholic.
And I'm Siobhan Garcia, and I'm a normie. And this is Totally Sober.
And today we have a very special guest. She is the one and only Deborah Bronner, who is my mother. So I will let you introduce yourself so you can share about who you are and your story with your crazy son.
Yeah, hi, my name is Deborah Bronner, and I have the distinct privilege and honor to be Joey's mom. And Joey has a younger brother, Joshua, who has special needs. And it's been quite a journey. And the journey has had a lot of different parts to it. And unfortunately, Joey and Joshua lost their dad, my husband, 14 plus years ago. And it was around that time, I believe, that Joey started going on the wrong path. But the end of the story is just so much to be proud of. Joey has accomplished so much. The Recovery Center and the Sober Living House are huge contributions to the community and a testament to everything that you've become.
You make me cry. This is going to probably be a very emotional interview. We're also celebrating something pretty huge. So I asked my mother to be on the show today because I will be celebrating my 6th sober birthday in a couple days, so this Wednesday. So I'm going to be 6, and this wasn't my first go around, and I've been very clear and vocal about how I had a year and some change my first time, but this time I do have close to 6 years, and I would just like to know from your perspective as not only my mother but also as a parent, what it was like for you to see the growth, but also how I had a year and a little bit of change and then essentially threw it away, and how that made you feel and what that was like.
So during the time that you got sober the first time, I was concerned that you were planning to drink again. And I believe that was true. Am I right?
No, you were completely right.
Yeah.
It took a lot of therapy, but I told myself the lie that I wasn't an alcoholic any longer, and if I had a year, I was cured, but that wasn't the case. And I blamed it on the passing of my father's anniversary, and I used that as an excuse until I got honest with myself about the real reason why I drank, and that was because I decided I wanted to. So yeah, you are absolutely right. I made my mind at that time.
Mothers always know, right?
Well, and then I knew it when you were in 2013, when you were in the treatment center there and in the sober living house. I understood that you were waiting for the 60 days or whatever it was to be over so that you could drink again.
Yes.
And so I'd say it was a very frightening time, the 6 months from the time you started drinking to the time that you ended. And of course, it's a huge relief, and I'm so proud of you. We're coming on 6 years now. Yeah, it's very frightening to watch someone that you love engage in destructive and dangerous behavior.
Yeah, and you set pretty firm boundaries with me, and I know that wasn't easy for you. It was quite difficult, rather, me calling you, crying, saying, oh, I need X amount of money for whatever it was, and I was like, please, if you don't love me, then fine. I would,
Addicts love to play the heartstrings with family members. I know that very well personally too. And we know the money's not going towards a warm place to sleep at night,
You held very firm boundaries.
Oh, that's good. Well, I had help. I went to some Al-Anon meetings, and I I talked to people who were experienced with having loved ones who were alcoholics, struggling with addiction. And all I can say is that a lot of people that I talk to do not have a success story to report. So
we're some of the lucky few.
Right.
Right.
Unfortunately.
Yeah. But we're happy that we're able to be there for people who may need somebody to look up to, and we're happy that we exist.
Yeah, it's a tremendous contribution that the organizations that you're involved with have contributed, and there's a lot more to come in terms of all the people that you will be providing services to over the next many years. And I mean, your commitment to your own recovery and your commitment to the community and the industry, the recovery addiction industry, is very palpable and it's very exciting.
And Siobhan, do you have any questions for my mom? I feel so honored to have you on here on set today.
Yes, you speak really very well for your first time on here.
I think I'm more nervous than you are, honestly.
I guess some questions I would have for you is just similar experiences you probably have with my own mother, with a family member we have that's still a continuing addict, unfortunately. But I find it really hard and interesting at the same time to hear my mom's stories that she has. Like, she could write a book, and I think she will someday write a memoir of her experiences. She took my family member to Serbia for rehab because they have one of the best detoxes in the world there. They put you under to detox, and these are more for opiate users and things like that. And she had a really interesting, crazy, violent time at times. And I guess my questions are, do you ever have like any PTSD from experiences you were dealing with Joey when he was, stressing you out and you worrying every night what he was up to and doing? And because I know my mom does. She has PTSD many times of just having to deal with your child in this circumstance.
I think that the reality is that I can't say for sure there's not going to be another relapse. I think that's just the reality. And on one hand, I trust that Joey's in a place where there's not going to be another relapse, and he's in that group of recovering addicts that I know that for decades, I have friends who've celebrated 40 years and more, and they didn't, there were no relapses. Yeah. So I believe that Joey's in that group.
That safe
but
group,
I'm aware of the reality that you just never know.
Yeah.
And on to that point, one of the things that I think helps keep me sober is knowing that my altered versions of myself are not dead, that they're dormant. So I still have Jose, who was an asshole, and then I have Hoey, who was very questionable in behavior, and then I have myself today, Joey. So I think knowing that those versions of myself are still there, it may not take a drink, it may not take two, but it's inevitable.
What was the difference between Jose and Hoey?
Well, Jose was like the most despicable human being. Like, if you were to look at me the wrong way, I would go after you. And then Hoey, the nickname kind of gives it away. Very promiscuous and got into very questionable, bad situations that I don't wish on my worst enemy, but at the same time, looking back, I am grateful that I am able to now relate with our clients here and speak with them on a personal level.
Okay.
So, not fun alters.
Yeah.
To sum it up. But I do my inventory. I have an amazing therapist, so I'm keeping myself in check and I'm honest with where I'm at. If something's bothering me, I have no problem sharing it with my husband or my mother. I'm very transparent about where I'm at and if I need help. So.
I think the key is not ever to think I can have one drink.
I have
Yeah, I understand, but that's the key. That's the bridge.
The number one, I think, after you get out of rehab is to just, you can't think you can do one thing, because with I'm not naming names, but a family member of mine, when my mom and her got out of rehab and they came back home, she was like, oh, I'm just going to do meth. I'm just going to do no, and we're just like thinking like, girl, like that's not how you, she was not in the mindset to stop. She was like, I think in her mind, she was there to stop one thing, and she had everything else under control. That was the only problem.
Well, it's not understanding her own condition.
Yeah, and then sooner or later, she is an adult, over 18. You can't really stop anyone from doing what they want to do. So sooner or later, she just went back, flew to the next province, and I haven't seen that family member in 7 years, 8 years.
That's really tough for your mom then.
Yeah, and my mom and me both have kind of just had to cut all ties, like with the boundaries Joey was saying was, my boundary was, I can't be in contact with you because I'm enabling you that everything is normal, everything is okay.
Right.
How you're treating my mother, how you're treating me is okay and normal. And that's how I felt, like me communicating with her, like everything's fine, give her some money, like, there's all these things. I never really did that, but my parents were, and they definitely stopped that as well, which is one of the hardest things, I'm sure.
Right.
Because they do say things that it's manipulative.
Right.
Yeah. And it's really hard to ignore that.
Right, of course. And to see a family member in distress and to say, no, I'm not going to help you, or I've already helped you and now it's up to you to do it on your own, is very, very tough. And, hearing about people who do relapse and then comparing it to those who don't, it seems completely mysterious. There's nothing obvious. Like, this is the reason that this person started again and somebody else didn't.
Yeah.
So, yeah. And so as far as PTSD, I would say that's the way I would describe it, as far as thinking about the future, not so much thinking about the past.
Yeah, PTSD might not be the right word for you, what you have, but the worry of possibly relapsing and dealing with all that again.
Right. Yeah. I mean, luckily it's not day to day. I mean, at this point, I'm not concerned that any moment I'm going to find out that Joey's on the wrong path. Like, he's so much on the right path.
And also, it must be really nice now that Joey's married to Andrew, that you have Andrew to turn to as well, if that were to ever be a thought, or, I think he would hear it first from someone else.
Well, and that's part of the reason I'm not concerned day to day, because Joey has built a structure, and just, the fact that Joey has established a long-term relationship. Joey's married to a wonderful person who's my son-in-law, and they so much support each other in all ways, including in their recovery and including in the business. So it's a great foundation, and it's not one that I feel any concern about in the moment.
Right. Yeah. Structure is key, right?
Yeah.
I'm just in awe. I'm like, oh my gosh. Do you have any questions for us?
Gee, well, I guess I'm interested in the relapse, because you've had clients that have relapsed, and wondering, what do you do to anticipate that, or what do you do to help them avoid it?
It's a really good question. So with the clients that we have at the house, we can't disclose clients at the program.
Of course.
But at the Sober Living, we're very clear and transparent with them when they move in that no person, place, thing, emotion, or feeling should be the reason to take somebody out. Plain and simple. If they decide to pick up and use again, that is entirely on them. We can only provide them with the tools and the support and the family that we've created at the house to give them something that they hopefully keep and hold on to and not go out.
Do you want to explain go out? Because that's a terminology that I only learned since we got since you got involved in this business.
Going out is another term for relapsing or going out and using again. It's essentially a relapse. Now, how long somebody's out for, that is obviously dependent on the individual. But our hope and goal is that those who do go out come back and we're able to provide them the house and the home that they need. So we treat each relapse different. I mean, we have non-negotiables at the house that must never be broken. Those are our firm boundaries, very much so like you had your boundaries, we have ours at the house. And we hope that they don't break them. And if they do, then they have to live with the consequences.
And then do you want to explain what you're referring to when you say the house, the name of the house, and when you started it?
Yes, so everyone who's now just following our page, Rainbow Hill Sober Living is the house that my mother is referring to, and it is the main reason why we are what we are today. If it wasn't for the house and obviously our clients, their families, the love and support from the community, we wouldn't exist. So everything all started with Rainbow Hill Sober Living, and we are so incredibly thankful. And we're just getting started. And I do have one question for you.
Of course.
What advice would you have for a parent who is struggling with a child who is in active addiction?
Well, there are two parts to my answer. One is that to get help and to seek help from a professional who's experienced with this syndrome of a parent, providing services to an individual whose family member or loved one is struggling with addiction, and also to attend Al-Anon meetings. So that's the first part of the advice is to seek help, and the Al-Anon meetings offer insight and information to help see, well, this is what's different about my family or my family member, and this is what is similar. So seeing both what's different and what's similar is helpful. And then, as far as actual substantive advice, I believe that it's really important to understand how not to provide money and not to provide the emotional support that then becomes enabling, and to be able to understand the difference.
I think it's important that you said too that other family members seek help, because we know that with this disease, it's a family disease as well. And I think that any parent dealing with it, any sibling, any son, daughter is dealing with that, it's important to seek help and have your own therapy, because it is a lot for everybody.
Right. It's a family disease.
Exactly.
It doesn't affect just the addicts.
Right.
It's everyone in their orbit.
That's right.
So.
Joey, I have a question. Is now that you're on the other side, now that you have almost 6 years of sobriety, what do you want to tell your mother about, how she never gave up on you? What are the things that you have gratitude for towards her?
Yeah, well, I will speak to you directly. I am so grateful for everything that you've done for me. And I know that you saying no to me when I was calling you, the horrible things that I said to you, one of which I will never repeat again. But I will say that I am so happy that you are here, that you are my number one cheerleader. And when I do have times when I don't believe in myself, you're there, and then Andrew's there to pick me back up and root for me. I don't know. I don't want to cry.
I know. I feel like crying.
I'm so incredibly grateful to everything. I do refer to myself as Debbie 2.0, and she is Yo-G Debbie. So I owe a lot of who I am today because of you. The principles, the morals, the never wavering on what's right. I mean, the whole mission of Rainbow Hill is to do things for our community for the right reasons. While there are other programs that do questionable things, we are doing it right. And I think a lot of that heart and soul is because of you. So thank you.
You guys need to hug it out now.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you. So I'm really appreciative.
Well, I love you, Joey.
It's getting emotional.
So thank you so much for joining us today. Make sure you hit that like and subscribe button. And what's that sound it makes?
Ding.
And we'll see you next time.
Bye.
That was really good.
Okay, let me get a tissue.
You guys had me almost tearing up.
So good. I need a tissue.
Oh, I start getting really hot in here too.
The AC doesn't turn on the weekend.
Oh, is that why? Okay. Oh my gosh. We're actually, I think, oh, what?